Hey everyone, Bryan here, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, we're going to dive deep for the first time, maybe not the first time, into referrals and why I love them so much. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. And for those of you that are listening, you may want to pay attention to the latter part of the episode where I show you some numbers. So if you're visually inclined, go ahead and jump on and do that. Otherwise, you can listen because I share them there as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk about how referrals are the long game. So why are they the long game? And so when you are doing lots of different what we call traffic strategies. So your traffic strategies could be anything from, a postcard strategy, direct to a sale, could be Google Ads, it could be Facebook, it could be millions and myriads of different treatments, walk-in traffic to your restaurant, all those things, right? So those are all incredible sources of long-term or short-term businesses where you get someone to, you put an ad up and they do something you want to do, and then you either take a sale or you nurture them, or whatever your strategy is, you go ahead and take that as the first point. But when you build referral businesses, and I mean real referral businesses, not that the classic, I'd get my business through referrals, but you can't tell me how many you got last month, how many you got in last quarter, what your average deal is, all that other stuff, right? That you cannot have a referral business if you don't know who the referrals are coming from on a consistent and contiguous basis. Now, you don't always know that Mary's going to give you a deal, or Bryan's going to give you a deal, or Vance is going to give you a deal. But you're going to know that, hey, when you get referral sources, these 12 types of people are the ones that most consistently give them to me. You build relationships because you also refer business back to them. And then you see systems and methods that work over time. What do we call that? We call that the long game. Why does the long game matter? The long game matters really because business is not a series of short-term sprints. If you're even if you're in a transactional business, which I never was, I can't tell you about it, and I know lots of people who've done lots of things. When you're in the transactional business, you have to continuously drive traffic. Great. What does that mean, Bryan? Well, traffic is exactly that. You're relying on Facebook ads, you're relying on Instagram ads, you're relying on TikTok ads, you're relying on LinkedIn ads, you're relying on some type of traffic, typically. Now, it could be newspaper ads, it could be billboards, could be other things, right? It could be radio ads, but you're relying on traffic to bring in business directly to the end customer. Hey, for a lot of people, it works great. I can tell you in some of my businesses, it also works great. I'm just sharing with you that when you have those types of traffic sources, then you have retention sources where the same customers keep coming back again. You have an ascension funnel where they can buy more and more stuff. That's all fantastic. But when you attach that to the referral business, which doesn't cost nearly as much, it costs your time. I get it. It costs your efforts, but then you are less reliant on these cyclical things that happen, right? So we see all the things that are always happening in the traffic business. We see algorithm changes. We see platform changes. We see behavioral changes. We see external changes, right? Political cycles, we're in the process of a shutdown now. Shutdown cycles all matter, right? Because those are external forces that you cannot control. So referrals give you something to work on while you have the ability to do that. And in the next part of the podcast, we'll talk a little bit about numbers and why is Bryan so crazy about it. One, I got called out in an earlier episode that you can't build a business on referrals. I can tell you I have multi-seven-figure businesses that run on referrals. I've got plenty of clients who get plenty of referrals on a regular basis so that they are using that on a consistent and systemic basis, that they know how many referrals they got last month, last quarter, last year, and how much it's worth, right? So you can have a seven-figure business on referrals, but you got to work, and it's not magic. It doesn't happen without some efforts, right? So that's the big thing. And that's why I call referrals are the long game. In other episodes, we're going to dig into deeper of like what they look like, how they find out stuff, and some of the resources. Later on in the episode, I got a little secret I'm going to share, but I'm not going to share it right now. I'm going to make you wait to the end. It's worth it. And then I will have some follow-up questions for you. So that's the first one. So one, you got to think long. It's a mindset shift. You got to think long, right? And the second one follows dramatically along with the first step, is when you're playing the long game, is you don't need to be cold blasting people or, going to networking events and cold blasting people. You want to start connecting. So that there's a difference, even if you're using emails or DMs or whatever you're using, there's a difference between DMing and connection. There's a difference between cold calling and connection. There's a difference in, right? So for example, this is one of the techniques I personally use. Hey, Joe, it's Bryan. I know we met about 3 months ago. I think it was at a local event. I'm not really sure. Hey, I've got a couple clients I'm working with who could really use some good systemic financial advice as it relates to their operational cash flow. And I realize, every CPA on the planet talks about cash flow, but I know because you have a background as a fractional COO and you have a bookkeeping business, I wonder if you could talk to these couple of people to help them out. Now, if you got that message, would that be helpful? I'll give you another example. Hey, Jim, this is Bryan. We don't know each other directly, but I'm working with someone in one of my masterminds who's in the process of trying to acquire companies in your space. I don't know if you're open to it, but he's looking for people who are in their 50s, who have multiple businesses, who don't really have kids who are interested in the business and are not sure that their business is ready to sell. I was wondering if you two guys could get together and see if there's some mutual fit for at some point down the road, right? So those are two different dramatics, right? Let's talk about the first version. So let's go do the shit version of each one. Excuse my French. First one. Hey, you know anybody needs bookkeeping help? Great. 2, hey, are you looking to sell your business and be a part of a roll-up? So which one makes more sense, right? So now all of a sudden, smart connecting, thinking boldly, thinking strategically, and using strategic words will help you do that. So think about that. How do you change your language to make it more about them and not about you, right? We always talk about giving first, then we get. That's the whole idea about referrals. And that's what we need to do. So that's the second big takeaway about why referrals can be a huge part of your business. In fact, this week, it's early November in 2025. I'm going to 2 networking events. I'm working on a program to try to help other companies teach their less experienced people how to go about using networking as a baseline to create true referral relationships and then get themselves out of the, go to 6 meetings a week to try to get people to refer you business when you're a painter or a landscaper, so on and so forth. So that's really the key part of it. The last thing, if you're in the referral business, and it should be a part of your thing, do something every day. You don't need to do 100 things every day. You don't need to do 1,000 things every day. You need to do 2 or 3, maybe 5. One of our clients, all we asked them to do was, hey, reach out to 5 of your ideal prospects every single day. Whether you've spoken to them before or not, spend a grand total of 30 minutes every single day and do something for them, not you. It could be, those of you watching, you can send them a card in the mail. You could send a thank you card. You could send a little note. Hey, I was thinking of you. I saw this article about your industry. That was my number 1 producer when I was in sales directly eons ago, clipping newspaper magazine articles and sending them to C-suite in the New York City metro area to the Fortune 100 companies. And I can tell you, it got me more meetings than I deserved to be at because I was different as everyone else. Now, at the time we cold called, that's what we did. I was never really that excited about it, but I did it if I had to. But where I excelled was using my network of people to find out what are their 3 key initiatives and to be sending them information on a regular basis. And for those of you that read my book, Stuck on First, we talked about how I worked with guys who were literally experts in their field. They wrote books, they wrote textbooks, they spoke at conferences, they spoke at events. This is, again, 25 years ago. They were authorities in their business before the authority business was a thing. They were influencers before there were influencers. So as much as we want to understand that new media and new techniques are the latest thing, they're not. They're just the latest version. And I saw one of my friends, Ben Glass and Dan Kennedy, at an event just a week ago. And Ben talked about the fact that the true core of business hasn't changed. Just the tools have changed. Think about that. The core piece of business is people do business with people they trust. How you gain trust, the transaction size is all different because of 2 things, because of media and tools. That's all that matters. So by doing something simple every single day, that will help you get on your way to having more referrals. So go ahead and jump in. I'm going to talk to you about some numbers in the next part of the podcast. So go ahead and listen to that, and I will see you guys on the next episode.